Fortnite has, of course, taken the world by storm, no pun intended, but some casual fans might actually be surprised to know that the game has existed in some announced form for many years, and it's come a long way since its initial reveal, and then again after its launch and its rise to power. So, let's talk about Fortnite's biggest changes, starting off with number 7. We'll start with the obvious one, the visuals. Fortnite was actually announced way back in 2011 during the Video Game Awards. When it was shown off, all we got was a quick cinematic trailer, and even though going back to watch now you can tell it's Fortnite, it has undergone some big visual changes and it looks pretty different. It looked less cartoony in that trailer, and it wasn't until 2013 that we got a look at the gameplay that we know and love now, and that's where you can see the cartooniness really starting to take over. Then in 2014 we got another look at gameplay, and it's here that it really started to look exactly like the Fortnite that we ended up getting. Not only in terms of visuals, but also in terms of animation. The chest opening and swinging animations looked very similar to what we got in the final game. It's also when the gameplay started to really fall into its own form as well. Building certainly looks very different from the initial tease, but I'm sure they had some sort of plan all along. The combat looks pretty much the same, and so does the editing tool otherwise, but it is crazy to think that we've been getting sneak peeks of Fortnite for years before it was released. To the point where the game was a joke at a point and we all thought it was canceled. That's kind of funny. Next at number 6, Battle Royale was obviously one of the biggest changes made to Fortnite. Nowadays, when you think about Fortnite, it's the Battle Royale mode that you actually think of, not really Save the World mode. Releasing a few months after Save the World, Battle Royale brought Fortnite back into the conversation, and since then it honestly hasn't left. It's just gotten bigger and bigger with each day. It rules Twitch, it makes the news, it's memed really hard, it's all over YouTube. When talking video games in 2018, it's hard not to mention Fortnite. Epic has also done a fantastic job with supporting the game as well, with different skins, events, and limited time modes. Their presence at conventions has also vastly grown. Their PAX convention presence in March compared to their E3 presence in June was absolutely insane. Looking at the difference a year makes at the Epic Games booth at Gamescom is also really jarring. Fortnite has become honestly more than a game, but a little bit more of a phenomenon. It's made its way into the sports scene really hard, kind of like soccer and basketball. I know some people hate hearing that comparison, but esports are a thing. There's even Fortnite dance classes now. I get that the game isn't for everyone and that there are a good amount of people that aren't into it or just plain old sick of it, but there's no denying the impact it's had on gaming over the past year. We'll get to that. Because at number 5, we have to talk about the Battle Pass and their approach to microtransactions. The Battle Pass was a very big change, but also something that had come into effect very early on in Fortnite's life. Battle Royale launched into early access on September 26th, 2017, and the first Battle Pass launched in December of that same year. For those of you who don't know, the Battle Pass system is the Fortnite progression system, and it's broken down into seasons. A season will usually last a few months, and there are different tiers that can be unlocked, each giving you some sort of unlockable, like a skin or emotes. The Battle Pass is something that you purchase, so it's technically a microtransaction, but you're unlocking stuff as you level up throughout the seasons. What's such a big deal about the Battle Pass is that it never came off as this evil, predatory microtransaction like a lot of gamers have. It actually didn't seem to bother most people. I mean, obviously there are some people that were bothered by it, but that's a whole nother conversation for possibly valid reasons. But seeing that Battle Royale is free, I guess purchasing the Battle Pass softened the blow for some folks because it literally didn't change the way the game was played at all. There are no pay-to-win mechanics. This is all happening during the same year as Star Wars Battlefront 2, which we'll all probably never forget. Epic has really figured something out here to the point that even PUBG and Rocket League have jumped on the Battle Pass train, releasing their own form of the system with little different quirks. Honestly, I'm a fan of this kind of progression system, at least for Fortnite, seeing that it is free to play. I think it keeps playing interesting, with always having something to work towards. But next at number 4, another thing that has really changed over the course of the past year is how Epic has hinted at upcoming seasons and the little things they do throughout the season to keep playing fun and interesting. You know, Fortnite is essentially just a Battle Royale mode, yet people can still play it endlessly because they keep it kind of fresh. And think of how big of a deal the missile launch was last season. It was something that was only going to happen one time at a very specific time of day, and when it happened, players around the world stopped killing each other to stop and watch this random in-game missile to take off. Players even grouped together to build giant ramps so they could get a better vantage point, but that's something if you're a fan, you're always going to remember when you think back to that event. Or how about after the missile launch and it caused a crack in the sky, and then that whole thing happened and it started to make small changes throughout the map and the way they teased it. And now we have that cube and zero gravity fields that pop up on the map. It's unreal how something as small as adding one tiny thing to the map gets players all excited and gets them speculating on what's going to come with the next season. Which leads us to our next point at number 3. Besides these small changes being made, Epic has also gone and actually changed and added things to the map. Dusty Depot got bombed and turned into Dusty Divot. Anarchy Acres was scrubbed off the map entirely and replaced with Lazy Links. A Viking-themed town is now sitting on top of a mountain just south of Snobby Shores. Tomato Town is now the multi-level Tomato Temple. And the majority of the southeastern part of the map not only got Paradise Palms, a brand new area, but it also has an entirely new desert biome. There are some other smaller things as well, as new weapons being added all the time throughout the season, and these small changes do a very good job at changing up the game a bit and making it fresh to play. With the end of the current season coming really soon, I can't wait to see what other changes Epic makes to the map, or maybe we'll get a brand new map entirely, finally. As cool as that would be, I don't know how likely that is. I think Epic is onto something with just keeping the map they have and just consistently changing locations, adding biomes, and making other small tweaks to it, but we'll have to wait and see. Coming down to number 2, another big change to Fortnite is the addition of the different modes that Epic has added over the past year. The biggest one probably being the limited time Thanos mode. Here, an Infinity Gauntlet actually pops up on the map somewhere as a piece of loot, and whoever finds it and picks it up transforms into Thanos, who's more powerful and has different attacks. This is pretty big, seeing that this was a direct partnership with Marvel. There's also the 50 versus 50 mode, where instead of being a 100-player free-for-all, the game is actually split into 2 teams of 50, which may not sound as fun or hectic as traditional Battle Royale, but it's actually a lot of fun and it's pretty hectic. There's also the solid gold mode, where all weapons drop at legendary status, so everyone is running around with the most powerful weapons and murdering each other really fast. Playground is probably one of the cooler modes added. It's nice to just be able to practice a bit. There's the brand new getaway mode that just launched as well. So Epic isn't slowing down with adding new modes and just new things to do in the game, which I think is really important, and other Battle Royale games should definitely take note. But let's get down to number 1. Fortnite getting a mobile release is a pretty big deal when you think about it. It's one of the most played games in the world right now, not only by adults, but a ton of younger kids, and a lot of younger kids who don't have a console or PC, but may have their own smartphone or iPod or access to their parents. Epic putting it out on mobile is a crazy smart move because of the amount of kids that see Fortnite taking over the world and aren't able to play it. Now they can get their hands on it. The fact that it's free on mobile puts it in way more hands. And it also wasn't a half-assed port either. On mobile, it's totally playable. Epic has partnered with Apple to release Infinity Blade a few years back, and that game was super impressive for a mobile game, so Epic's Unreal Engine has been so optimized, and Fortnite is really the perfect storm. What also makes the mobile version super important is the crossplay element that goes along with it, which helped it change mainstream gaming in a lot of ways. Crossplay ended up being an unprecedented move for Fortnite, and it's one that at this point, frankly, we wish we saw everywhere. Some people don't realize just how big of a deal it is from a technical standpoint to go from playing on PC to Switch to iOS and Android and having all your progress carry over, being able to complete challenges on the go, and more importantly, play with friends on other platforms. It's not perfect, we're looking at you, Sony, but it's still a huge game changer. Not to mention what Fortnite has done just for the gaming industry, but also for Twitch and the live streaming industry as well. But that's of course a whole nother video. Now these are changes from 2011 to 2018 from when we first saw Fortnite, just big changes that we wanted to point out. Even if you don't like the game, we do think the history and the legacy it's already building so fast is very impressive. So we want to hear from you guys down in the comments how you feel about Fortnite, and not just really the game, even if you don't like it. Do you want to see more crossplay, microtransactions that maybe don't piss you off, even though those skins are kind of expensive? Whatever it is, Fortnite and Fortnite business, let's talk in the comments. We want to hear from you guys. But if you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a thing or two, clicking the like button does help us out. We really appreciate it. And if you are new, you should consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.